This is Chessnut Air, the most affordable board to play online on Lichess and chess.com from the Chessnut company, and it works great. Now this is Chessnut Air Plus, the improved version of the same board. We are gonna unbox it together as you like, my first impressions, my honest opinion, and of course a generous discount for you. What's up, chess player, and welcome to the Journey to Grandmaster, the place where you can improve every single aspect of your chess game. So I'm playing chess for like 20 years now, by the way. This year is my jubileum, and I am really shocked with the development of this entire chess board, the craziness of the capabilities it offers, and the improvement those boards are getting like every year. Because before this year, I have never even thought of such board existed. So now let's unpackage it and see what has improved. We are chess players after all, so should deal with difficult challenges. So first of all, I must say the packaging looks really fantastic. I mean, I guess you would be happy to get something like that as a present, or just if you have bought it for yourself. I mean, it looks very, very nice. I like it. Nowadays, it almost feels like you're unboxing a new smartphone and not a chessboard. So first of all, you get a quick guide, just as in the normal Chessnut Air board. Here you have the instructions, what buttons are there. By the way, very useful thing, when I was unboxing the first board and trying to understand how it worked, it really helped me a lot. You don't really need anything apart from this thing to understand how it works, and that's great, because even though I haven't used anything like that before, just in a matter of like 10 minutes, I understood how it should work, what I should do, how to connect it, and so on. Okay, here we have the pieces. First of all, as always, something you never should eat, at least according to what they're suggesting here. And then we have the USB cable. Well, I hope it's USB. Yeah, it's USB Type-C, very modern, very comfortable to use. By the way, I pretty much never use it to charge the board because I just use the same cable as for my mobile phone. Works fantastically. But if you need, of course, you have a separate one here in the packaging. I mean, it's not an iPhone after all, so you get everything you need at the same place. Okay, then we have the pieces and get the board. Yeah, it has just the same size as the Chessnut Air, but here we come to the first main difference between the boards. It's totally wooden here. So here is our board, and the first difference you can clearly see comparing to Chessnut Air over here, that there are no notation on this board. And this is, I mean, I would say it depends on your level, because, for example, for me, I don't really care. In fact, visually, I like it more when there are no notation on the board, because, I mean, just feels better for me. But for example, my girlfriend, who is just beginning to learn chess, for her, it's much more convenient when there is a notation on the board, and she, well, feels much more comfortable, because if you play online against another player who is just a beginner, he has the notation, you don't, you basically have a disadvantage. Well, with Chessnut Air, you don't have such a thing. Here, there is no notation, but of course, if you want, you can either do it yourself or ask a specialist to do it for you. But we also see the difference of the board itself. Here it's full wooden, both the board and the pieces. That is the main difference between the boards, and that is making also the difference in the price. So let's see the pieces. Yay, I'm finally done. And here we have it. Yeah, the size of the board is exactly the same as for the pieces. Yeah, also roughly the same, although I would say that Chessnut Air Plus a little bit better the pawn at least. Let's see the king. Yeah, the king is definitely bigger in the Chessnut Air Plus. What about the queen? Yeah, same thing, definitely. So we can say that Chessnut Air Plus, the pieces are a little bit bigger, but in terms of which pieces are better, that's more difficult for me to say, because honestly, like how it visually looks, I would say I like the Chestnut Air pieces more, because Yeah, I understand it's made of plastic. That is a big difference, plastic and wood. But how it visually looks, I actually like it more. One very important point, maybe the most important one, the functionality of these boards is exactly the same. Both of them are allowing you to play chess online, to connect it to chess.com, to lead chess, maybe other platforms. I don't know if there are still existing other platforms, but once you connect the board, you can play against a real opponent online, rapid chess. I don't really recommend you play blitz on these boards because, well, it's quite a disadvantage just because you need to make a move for your opponent. In the rapid chess, I mean, if you have at least some increment, at least 5 seconds, you don't really notice it. So the main difference is basically the visual one, how it looks. And for me personally, if I would have bought the board for myself, I wouldn't really pay so much more for this one. I guess I would be happy with the normal Chestnut Air. However, if you enjoy the wood pieces more, the wood board more, and if you are sick of seeing the notation in front of you, then of course Chestnut Air Plus is your choice. Anyway, let's test this board, let's make sure it works, and I'm gonna show you how it works so that you can take the right decision for yourself. First of all, here you have the buttons. It's normally the same, yeah, completely the same as in the Chestnut Air. So you have here the power button that you need to press and hold for a few seconds, and then it's gonna, yeah, switch on. Then you need your phone or your laptop or tablet, whatever, with the Chestnut application to connect it to. Okay, here we go. I have the Chestnut application over here. I just press this button and hopefully it should connect. If not, no, connection failed. Then I need to press one of the, yeah, okay, the power button one more time. Then you can see the blue indication here. That means that I can connect the board to the Bluetooth device. In this case, my mobile phone. Let's hope it's gonna work. Yes, it's working. Chestnut Air Plus. We see the battery life here. By the way, I never said it in my reviews of Chestnut boards. I have tested the Chestnut Evo, which I use pretty much every day, the Chestnut Pro, the Chestnut Air, now the Chestnut Air Plus, and I have never had any difficulties with the battery life. Of course, in the case of Chestnut Evo, it's most demanding because you have a real screen there, so it takes battery. But the time I can use Chestnut Evo without charging it, for me, is amazing. I mean, comparing to a mobile phone, it's working fantastic. I guess you can just use it the entire day. And you need to take into account that the screen is really big there. But here you have no screen, so of course the battery is lasting much more, and I really need to charge it only very, very seldom. Anyway, now we have connected. Let's try to play a game. So let's start by playing with the computer. We have here 8 levels, but I have to say they're playing so strong. Like last time I have played against level 5. I guess I'm gonna do it now as well on Chessnut Pro, and it just destroyed me completely. So I want to try to get some revenge. Let me have like normal 15 minutes. Of course, you can adjust the time and increment the way you want. This is so nice, like you have at home the opportunity to play against a very strong opponent on a real board, and usually I always say that I don't like to play against a computer, but if you are talking about like roughly the same level as you computer, or maybe stronger when you prepare against the tournament, and very good advantage, I enjoyed so much. You don't need to reveal your openings, your preparation for your opponents, you can just test it against a very strong opponent. This also a real-time, real board experience. This is a very good way to do it. I enjoy it so much. So let's start the game. We have here white pieces, and hopefully everything is gonna work once I make the move. Yeah, so you see the indicators are very similar to Chestnut Air, but as far as I remember there, the lights are different. Anyway, you can pretty much clearly see in most of the cases what the move is. I have read some comments and I had this situation in my experience as well. Really rarely, but indeed I had some difficulties at some point that I didn't see the move, so I missed it. Of course, you can always take a look at the screen if you want, but normally in like 99% of the cases, you just play the game on the board. You don't care about the pawn and what is happening there. You just enjoy the game. The only thing you do need to take a look at is the time situation, because otherwise you're risking to get into time trouble without knowing it at all. Okay, we have the Queen's Gambit declined. A very, very solid opening for black, of course. But, I mean, he's playing so strong that I hope at least not to lose. h6, bishop h4. Then we are going to place the bishop on d3. Okay, bishop d6, not like a normal Queen's Gambit when you place the bishop on d6, but I guess he's just not afraid of that pin, which is, of course, he has a right to do that. I'm not sure, like, you can place the knight on f3 and the knight on e2. Both moves are completely possible. But let me put it on e2. That is going to be more interesting. Knight to d7. Let's maybe start with queen c2, because sometimes you even castle here alongside and then start the attack, maybe 6, start the attack on the king side. But normally, like, the main plan is to play f3 and e4, and I, to be honest, don't see why I cannot play f3 right now. Maybe I do. Maybe there is knight. Although knight c4, I can just take it with the bishop. Yes, I give up my bishop's advantage, but I get such a huge center. e4 threatening e5. And if rook e8, guess I can still play e4. I mean, I know that the rule here is not to play e4 too early, especially with my king in the center. It's very dangerous, because some knights g4 jumps, the e3 square is going to be weak, and so on. So normally they just prepare the move e4 for like 100 moves, but never play it. This is the best strategy, but I'm going to start with playing f3. Okay, c5. That was the idea behind the move. Knight to b6 to protect the d5 pawn, so that the c5 move is possible now. Okay. I guess I can just ignore it, right? Let me just castle for now. Knight g4 is like never an idea, hopefully. And if he takes on d4, then I'm gonna just take it with the knight. Okay, he goes for rook e8. Yeah, so that is the point of the move c5, to make e4 much more difficult, because if I play e4 now, he's just exchanging all of the pawns, and then I'm basically in trouble. e4 is going to be isolated and weak. My knight on d4 is going to be in trouble. So I'm gonna just play bishop to f2. This is a normal way to continue, just to make sure that your pawn weaknesses are not really weaknesses. Okay. Yeah, now at least I have my knight on d4. I really love to have this knight as a blockator, because he has an isolated pawn. I'm blockading it with a knight. What can be better than that? The drawback is, of course, that my pawn on e3 is vulnerable, pretty much weak. Anyway, let's finish our development. Development in the opening is always the most important thing. So what can I say so far? I really like playing on this board, but I also enjoyed playing on Chessnut Air. So like I said, for me personally, I would be just happy with Chessnut Air. I wouldn't need to pay extra for wooden pieces. First, because I really like how they look better. I don't know. I'm not the type of guy who really like obsessed with the kind of material you use. It's just important for me to make sure that everything is clear, to make sure that there is a good contrast between white and black squares. And I would say this is the case on both of the boards. No problems at all. No like green squares or pink squares or whatever. They are coming up today. Apparently my dog has some stuff to do. So my main impression is, so far, both boards are working fantastically, and given a chance, I would rather save money for, I don't know, a few lessons with a coach to help me use the board in the most efficient way, to recommend some books, I don't know, just to learn a few new topics and so on, rather than to pay extra for the wooden pieces. But let me know in the comments what you think, what is important for you. And meanwhile, I'm gonna try to beat my opponent here. He's very proficient. He is developing all of his pieces. So let me do the same. Let me bring my rook to the center, because I need some protection for that pawn on e3. Yeah, maybe I should have I have completely missed that idea. Maybe I should have just played queen to b3 immediately. Because now he's gonna take on c3, and I would need to take it with the pawn, creating yet another isolated pawn. I don't like it. Okay, let me play queen b3 anyway. I mean, in the worst case, I can always play c4. By the way, maybe it's not going to be bad for me. I'm gonna play c4 and we exchange. I play bishop, take c4, attacking the f7 pawn, and then I can play e4. Of course, the drawback is he's not gonna have the isolated pawn anymore, but so do I. Let me go for it. And also the d file is going to be open, and I completely blundered the bishop a4 move. Yeah. I don't know, somehow when I'm doing those reviews for you, I play so bad. I'm not even gonna have a pawn as a compensation for it. Yeah, what can I do? Have to take. Okay, there is even rook b8, and I'm losing my queen. Or maybe I can knight c6, rook takes b7, knight a5, and I'm attacking the rook. Okay, well, that's my only chance anyway. I don't need to think twice. Takes c1. Yeah, so one very important, I mean, I am so desperate here, but one important thing is every time there is a check, you hear that sound from the board. You can turn it off if you want, but yeah, a good alarm, because for a second there I thought I have some chances, but now I'm just a rook down. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, it's level number 5 out of 8, and it just destroys me time after time. Yes, I'm not fully focused here because I want to make this review for you, but still, I have like absolutely zero chances. Okay, let me just stop this game because I feel too miserable here, and instead play against a real human being on chess.com. To play a game with Chessnut Air Plus on chess.com, all you need to do is connect it to the Chessnut app, of course, and then click the online button, then choose chess.com, then you're redirected to chess.com, and provided you have logged into your account, which I already did, you can just, like normal, choose the time control, let's say 15 minutes plus 10, and then click the press button, and it should do its work. As simple as that. I mean, the simplicity with which you can use the board to play online is incredible, because when I first was about to get the Chessnut Air, that was the first smart board I have ever had in my life. By the way, somewhere here you can see the review of that board. I definitely recommend you do. I thought it's going to be so complicated. I thought I'm gonna be sitting there like hours and hours trying to understand how it works, but actually it's very, very easy to use. Okay, I'm playing here with black, so and just flip the board really quick. My opponent is 2000 rated. Okay, I guess that should work better for me. Let me play knight f6, just out of a surprise. Bishop g5. Okay, whatever. Let me play d6. Probably he's gonna take it. Yes. So like I said, you can fully focus on the board, just looking at the time situation from time to time, but if it's like 15 minutes game, you don't need to do that often, at least in the opening, provided that you are not sleeping, sitting on the board and making your moves relatively fast. My opponent gave me a pair of bishops from the very beginning, trying to get the control of the center, so I suppose we are both happy. I have my bishops and he has his center. Let's see who is gonna have more out of this. Maybe I should have played f5 immediately when I had a chance, because I really want to play f5, but now it's much more difficult, and if I would have done it immediately, that would be no problem. But okay, let's just castle and see what we can do, how to make castles possible. So you can see that if your opponent makes a castle, you see 4 indicators there, so you're not confused whether he played king f1 or rook f1, but he really just castled. Okay, rook e8. Golden rule of the opening: bring all of your forces into the battlefield. That's what we are doing. But the question is, how do I really make f5 possible? This is not clear for me. Maybe I play d5 instead. And then I play f5, but then I'm gonna still have double pawns. I mean, the ideal thing would be for me to exchange. That's why I should have played f5 immediately. But if I would have done that, then he would have had an opportunity to play e5 because my bishop was still on f8. That means that would be the same thing as if I play d5 now. But I, of course, can start with c6 and then play d5. We have at least one pawn in the center. But it's going to be an isolated pawn. I can also, of course, try to play something like bishop d7, queen c8, and f5. If it's gonna work, that would be great. Let's maybe start with knight c6, because if he plays d5, I'm always happy to get the e5 square as well as open up the diagonal. So I assume he's gonna play c3, and then I can just go on with my plan. Bishop d7, queen c8, because I feel like I have a little bit of space a disadvantage, so I need to open up the position, especially considering the fact that I have a pair of bishops. Rook a1. Yeah, let me play queen c8. So now if I play f5 and he plays e5, I even have more attackers, so I'm gonna just win his pawn. So f5 feels like a really good thing to do. Okay, he now goes for d5. Right, but now I just play knight e5. I don't understand the point. Yeah, maybe the point is that the position is going to be closed, and I have a pair of bishops, so I actually rather need to open it up. But I hope I'm gonna be able to do that. First of all, I no longer have double pawns because we exchange on e5, and I can play f5 next move. Yes, my rook on e8 is a little bit misplaced. I would rather have it on f8 now. Bishop e2. Feels like a waste of time to me, but anyway, let me play f5. And by the way, this bishop on h6 is going to be a great piece, isn't it? So I don't really like my opponent's strategy. I feel like I have some ways to open up the position with f5, bishop is coming to h6, c6, I don't know, something on the queen side. I have plenty of stuff to do, and then I just have a pure two bishops advantage without any compensation. Yeah, I really like to put bishop there because there are so many holes. Even the c1, if my opponent wants to put the rook here, then the knight would be pinned. He goes like that, but that means, yeah, I mean, c6 move is double-edged because d6 is going to be a weakness. And also that would allow queen d5, queen's exchange, and I need to think whether I want to allow that or not. Or maybe I want just to take on e4 now, just taking advantage of the fact that the knight is on f1, unable to take the e4 pawn. That means he has to take with the pawn, and I have the open f file. Yeah, let's do that. It takes back. Rook goes to f8. What about the time? Oh, okay, we both have way too much time. I just need to finish my development somehow. Yeah, he's closing the f file. That is smart. That is smart. So I feel like I still need to open up the queen side somehow to create some weaknesses. Let's do that. Let's play c6. Maybe I'm not threatening anything though, because if I take, he plays queen takes d5 and wins the pawn on d6. So maybe I need to play king h8 next move. But if he takes, then I play queen takes c6, queen d3, rook d8, rook d1, and I'm just in time to protect. And I also don't like the bishop on f3 for him because it's pretty stupid. But now I'm thinking maybe I should just play c5. Maybe this closing the position is fine for me because both of my bishops are pretty active. And if I don't do that, then maybe knight e3, knight d5 becomes an idea if I decide to exchange. And then d5 would be a nice square for the knight. And if I play c5, then the knight has no good outpost. Maybe on c4 though, but I'm gonna play b5 and create my initiative there. So I'm gonna play c5. So either he's gonna play c4 himself, but that takes this square away from the knight, or I'm gonna just play b5 myself and control that square. Anyway, I feel like I'm in full control of the position. He plays c4. Maybe just bishop g4 immediately. Yes, I understand that I'm exchanging his bad bishop, but I really want to open up the position. Or maybe start with rook b8, still threatening b5, and even if he plays a4, I can play b6, a6, and b5. Why not? I don't see any single active plan for white here. And this is a big problem. Like, the most important principle in chess is to always try to fight for the initiative. Alright, my opponent plays a4, trying to stop, that's logical, but like I said, I have a way to continue making this plan possible with b6. It's very important to start with b6, and very important advice to remember, because if you start with a6, your opponent plays a5, and then, yes, you can still play queen c7 and b5, but then he's going to take en passant, and you're going to have this weakness on a6, and you don't want to have that. So you start with b6, because your opponent, especially in this position, that makes sense, because your opponent has absolutely no way to do anything, like absolutely no active plan for him. Knight goes to g3, but it has absolutely no future. The g6 pawn stops all of the squares forward. So I'm going forward. So once I exchange all of that, the position is going to open up, which is great for me, because I have a pair of bishops, and because, well, the b2 pawn is going to be a huge weakness. I can even triple all of my pieces there. Yeah, let's just go for it, b5. Yes, the a file is going to be open, but I guess the b1 for me is more important than a1 for him. Time is also great. By the way, guys, if you enjoyed the video so far, if you find it useful, hit the like button. It's very, very important. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because we still want to achieve that goal of 10,000 subscribers. That would just make it possible, make it real. And I appreciate your support so much. And of course, if you want to get this board, the normal Chessnut Air, or any of Chessnut products, use the huge discount with the help of the link in the description, or the promo code which you can use for all of their products, Journey to Grandmaster. Okay, my opponent actually is doing a smart thing. He wants to get rid of that weak pawn on the b file. That's very good. But still I get the open file, and that should be good for me. Maybe he wants to exchange everything though. So maybe I don't need to be that fast with exchanging the pawns. Maybe I should wait for the right moment. So like playing queen to c7, and then maybe, or maybe rook b6 was a good way to start. Yeah, rook b6, queen b7, rook b8 was a plan, but okay. Now I want just to take and play rook b4, and then second rook to b4. Even if we exchange all of the rooks, still two bishops would make a huge advantage for me, because his knight has absolutely no future, like no squares to go. Whereas my light squares bishop is gonna attack all of his weaknesses, and my dark squares bishop is controlling all of the dark squares. So feels like a very good situation for me. Let's see if I can convert it into a full point, because that's a completely different story. They say to win, the winning position is the most difficult thing in chess. And I can definitely confirm it. Okay, that's pretty unexpected. Probably he also wants to double the rooks along the a file. Let's just take and play rook to b4, because then we would put additional pressure on the c4 pawn, which might be important in some variations, and the rook on b4 is protected by the pawn, because in some lines maybe we want just to take it with the pawn. That would make sure that the c4 pawn is hanging, and we have the diagonal here, and we have the passer, so the rook feels good there. Rook a1, so he doesn't want to exchange the rooks, or maybe he wants to exchange the rooks on a different square, like a8, for example, if I play rook b8. Anyway, I don't see absolutely anything wrong with rook to b8. Also, if he plays rook a7, I can just play rook to b7. rook 8 to b7. So as you can see, all of the moves are transmitted very, very fast, very smoothly, no difficulties playing on chess.com. It's a very similar experience on lead chess. I have tried it with multiple boards, and that's actually much better than I expected before knowing that such a thing existed. I thought it's going to be first very slow, and secondly, it's going to have so many problems, like every second move is not going to work. But yeah, it actually works fantastically. I'm playing against a guy from Sri Lanka. I mean, I have never been there. I have never met anyone from there. No, that's actually not true. I've met some people, but anyway, it's like other part of the world, and I'm sitting here playing against this guy. Basically, I'm making the moves for him, but other than that, it's like I'm playing a real time game on a real board, and this feeling is amazing. I mean, to get this, buying such a board is totally worth it. Another question is which board to get. I mean, I personally love Chestnut Evo. I guess it has absolutely everything you might ever need, and very soon I'm gonna show you how I use the board to train myself to work with books. It's a fantastic combination. I have found this application. I mean, just wait for it. Probably the next video will be with this board, and you're gonna be amazed by how it works smoothly, everything together. But those boards, first of all, they are more affordable, which is also great. It's like a first step to get to know such boards, and that changes your entire impression of playing online chess or analyzing chess or playing against the computer. I have never had such feelings, and I am so happy that I had this opportunity. And then you decide whether you need like a next class products like Chessnut Evo or Chessnut Pro, the full-sized wooden board. By the way, comparing to Chessnut Pro, I can definitely say that there is a lot of advantages to pay extra for Chessnut Pro, because it's a full size tournament board, full size tournament pieces, so I can use it to prepare myself to be completely ready for a tournament. I can totally get it. But comparing those two boards, I wouldn't say the difference is that huge. At least for me. I mean, of course, they're all different. Okay, how do I win here? Have time, and I need a plan. I like the move rook to b2, going to the second rank. Although maybe my opponent is gonna play queen f3 and trying to get some difficulties here once I go somewhere with the queen, then rook a8. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. So yes, the position is good, but how do I win? And he also stopped rook b3. That is smart. Okay, let me play rook b2 anyway, because if queen f3, I have rook b1, winning the bishop, and if he exchanges, I'm definitely much more active. That's, by the way, what I'm doing here is kind of a style Fabiano Caruana played against me, because it was very similar. I was playing as white. I had those pawns on the light squares, and we both had light squares bishops. And then he was like penetrating in my camp. I still had everything under control. By the way, definitely take a look at the game if you haven't seen it yet. Just a fantastic game. I mean, I'm not going to reveal the result for you because it was hilarious. But yeah, the feeling is very similar. Just now I'm on the other side because I'm more experienced than my opponent. I'm probably just a better chess player. So I'm trying to outplay him as black. And I guess I'm succeeding with that, because now after rook d2, I mean, that is a fantastic rook there. Maybe I should have started with bishop g4 though, because then rook d2 would be threatening just to win a piece. And now he can play queen to f3, and bishop g4 wouldn't be possible yet. That's exactly what he's doing. Moreover, now I don't have rook b1. I guess I was too fast with that, because I'm not sure I have a good follow-up. I would be happy to play queen b2 and just destroy him, but the problem is he's gonna checkmate me first. And that's unpleasant. Yeah, bishop g4 first was a much better move. Because my bishop on d7 is not doing much. Maybe I just play bishop c8, just to make sure rook a8 is not a check, and then when I play queen b1, I'm the first one to create a threat. Let's do that. Feels a little bit weird, but what can I do? Because it's hard for white to make a move. Queen b2 is coming. Maybe knight c3, queen b2, rook a8 still works. I mean, I always have queen b7 back, but the problem is how do I make progress? Okay, bishop a4. This move I don't like. Although maybe I blunder some checkmate, but I'm the first one to give a check. And otherwise, queen b2, how do you deal with it? If you play rook e1, it's just so passive. The main problem is you block the a file with your own bishop. Even if I just play something like queen a6, yeah, queen a6 feels like a good move because it's pinning the bishop. It just cannot move because the rook is hanging. And I'm attacking the c pawn. And the rook also cannot move to c1 to protect because the bishop is hanging. And the queen cannot move to protect the pawn, for example, queen b3, because the knight is hanging. So queen a6 basically wins a pawn. But I feel like queen b2 is just more powerful, although he does have rook to e1. Okay, which move is better? I do see that he has some ideas like bishop e8, and at some point I should be careful with that. For example, queen b2, rook e1, let's say I play queen a2 with a double threat, bishop and pawn. He plays bishop to e8, and by the way, that's just a check, right? Or maybe not. Maybe bishop f7 is there. Very, very painful for me. Okay, so maybe I just play queen a6 then. Knight c3, queen takes c4. And now he can play bishop e8. But I have queen d4 check in h1. I don't see a good follow-up. I mean, I always have bishop f4 just to block the queen, but it's not like a big thing. He can just play, I don't know, rook a8. Yes, rook a8 because d1 square is under control. Wait, what am I talking about? Yeah, of course. The knight on c3 is blocking the diagonal. I'm not winning the rook. So that's not simple. That's not simple. I have to be careful with my king. But from this perspective, I like queen to b2 more because at least his rook is not participating in the attack. Or maybe it does. Maybe he plays like rook f1 and he actually played bishop a4 to open up the way for the rook to go. Wow, and then it would be really very dangerous for me. I need to be much more careful than I initially thought. For example, queen a6, what am I talking about? He just plays rook f1, I take the bishop, he plays queen f7, queen a8, and checkmate me. Wow, that's very unexpected. So maybe I just play queen f7 to avoid the checkmate. And then the knight is hanging, I still have a pair of bishops, and I don't lose. I guess I should go for it. So otherwise rook f1 really feels devastated. I don't see my attacking plans because I missed this queen f3 move, unfortunately. So the endgame, well, at least I shouldn't be in trouble by any means. It just takes my queen. Otherwise, the knight is hanging, right? Queen takes f3, rook takes a2 is a huge threat. If queen escapes, then yeah, maybe. But where? There is... Ah, he offers me a draw. Yeah, this is also something you need to take a look at the phone or the laptop if you connect the board to the laptop to see that your opponent offers you a draw, or if you want to offer a draw yourself. For me, it almost doesn't matter because I never offer a draw and I never accept a draw, so it's fine. Also, I don't really understand how it works on chess.com. Why is he offering me a draw when it's his move? Because it's like I'm thinking now about his offer, but if I do it for like 10 more minutes, he's gonna lose on time, so I don't understand how it works. In real chess, you only offer a draw once you make your move. Then it's logical. Your opponent's time is ticking and he's thinking about your offer. But okay, let me Let me just disagree to a draw so that my opponent doesn't need to think about it and wait for me to decide. Because, well, if I lose, I lose. I never settle for a draw. Especially if it's not a tournament game, there is absolutely no risk. Nobody cares about chess.com rating. Do you care about chess.com rating? Let me know in the comments. By the way, having this opportunity to ask you to be a part of science to help me in my master thesis project, the link will be in the description. You can learn a new chess topic. It's gonna take like 10, max 15 minutes of your time. But apart from just learning something useful, you get a completely free 30-day study plan, study challenge for your chess to improve it dramatically. I mean, believe me, if you're gonna go through this 30 days challenge, you're gonna never become the same chess player, and you're gonna regret that you haven't seen it before. And also, besides that, you get a completely free private Q&A with me where I'm going to answer all of your questions to help you grow in chess. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity. Everything is free, and you're going to help science. You're going to take a part in the experiment, which is a very fascinating one, and you're going to learn in the process. Thank you very much for doing it. I really appreciate that. Okay, guess now it's time for me to give a check. Yes, I need to be careful not to miss knight f1, the fork, but I always dreamed about remaneuvering my bishop to d4. I guess it's going to be a fantastic piece there. King f1, okay. But that's a bad move, right? Now I have rook f2, rook takes g2, I'm just winning everything. Yeah, I don't understand. I don't see any disadvantage of the move into h1, because then knight f1 is an idea, rook f1 check is an idea, you don't lose any pawns. I don't see absolutely no reason not to do that. Well, maybe rook to g1 is not a real threat, because yeah, he has knight f1, but okay, I just play bishop to d4, I attack there, bishop is coming to g4, and I'm just destroying him. Probably it's just a checkmate in a few moves. So that's what happens with low-rated players. Like, if you apply pressure, if you constantly create some attacks, some threats for them, then sooner or later they just collapse because there are too much handle. There is too much to handle. Okay, bishop g4 seems like a killing blow. Rook b7 is just one check. I go to f6. And bishop c3 is a, well, not a checkmate threat, but he's gonna lose a knight, which is kind of the same. Other than that, rook to e2 check is also pretty devastating with a discover check. Okay, this is what they call a check before the death. At least that's what they do in a Soviet chess school. Let me know if you know such an expression as well. But now rook e2 is threatening to win a rook. King to d1, and then a rook to b2, discover check, winning the rook. That's why he's playing knight to g3, just to stop rook e2 check, but and just take pawn on h2. And now bishop f2 is a threat. Just h5, h4 is good enough to win the game, because I have now two connected passers. But of course his king is so weak. This is the first problem, the major problem. Rook b6. Yeah, let's win the knight, why not? In f1. Yeah, you can't even just go away, because then I even take it with a check, which is even worse. But this way, checkmate should be pretty fast. Yes, he takes the d6 pawn, but who cares about the pawns? All that matters is the king and the king safety. Even in the endgame, you can still blunder a checkmate. Bishop f3, and there is no way to stop rook h1 checkmate. Is he gonna resign, or is he gonna allow me to give a check? Yeah, he's gonna resign. Okay, so that is how it works. That is the Chessnut Air Plus This is my impressions. Like I said, the board works fantastically. Like even if there wouldn't be any Chestnut Air available, I would say this is a very cool board for its price, and I definitely recommend you buy it. If you like the wooden board and the pieces, I still definitely recommend you take a look at it. But if you don't really care that much about the pieces, rather the material of the pieces, because I really like the pieces on Chestnut Air, and it costs much less, it's much more affordable. If that is the priority for you, I would definitely recommend to take a look at the Chestnut Air, because that is a fantastic board. It has completely the same functionality, and here I have made an entire review about this amazing board. Definitely take a look at that. See you there.